Today's deck tech is an absolute machine. Literally, it's led by a machine and focuses on one of Magic's most popular machines, the Mirror. Commenter Cypern wanted a Mirror deck, and honestly, I think this deck's gonna be mirror than what your opponents are ready for. Urtet, Remnant of Memnarch, is the commander of this deck, looking to steer these Mirror in the right direction while making some friends along the way. Urtet, Remnant of Memnarch, is a 3-mana 2/2 legendary artifact creature Mirror that says, whenever you cast a Mirror spell, create a 1/1 colorless Mirror artifact creature token. At the beginning of combat on your turn, untap each Mirror you control, and lastly, pay white, blue, black, red, green, tap, put 3 +1/+1 counters on each Mirror you control, activate only during your turn. Now that's a lot of text, but it boils down to each of our Mirror comes with a friend. We want to be tapping these Mirror for mana, so when we go to combat, we can untap them with Urtet's effect. And we want to be able to produce Ruberg, so we can pump our Mirror army and send our opponents to the Stratus Mirror. This deck's game plan is twofold. We can make our creatures absolutely massive at somewhat instant speed, meaning each time our opponents are attacked, they need to do some quick math to determine if this is an alpha strike designed to take them out, or just some chip damage with a bunch of 1/1s. We can also produce almost, if not actually infinite mana and dump it into a huge X spell, hopefully ending the game. Come Mirror, and let's take a look at our creatures that are making the deck happen. I'll also cover some interesting interactions with our creature and Mirror. Changeling Outcast is an honorary Mirror and is unblockable, so win-win. Mirror Mind Servant, though the effect is interesting, is mostly here as a 1-mana Mirror. Drafna, founder of Latnam, can bounce an artifact that's being targeted, or make a copy of target artifact spell you control, which can get into some crazy things that I'll cover later. Now we get to the Mirror. Copper Mirror, Gold Mirror, Hover Mirror, one of my personal favorites that's not a mana dork, having both flying and vigilance makes it a real threat after a few activations of Urtet. Iron Mirror, Leaden Mirror, Mirror Convert. It does let us add 1 mana of any color at the price of 2 life, and while not always relevant, Toxic does give us a potential alternative win con. Omega Mirror, Silver Mirror, Mirror Smith, while not an actual Mirror herself, she can make Mirror for 1 mana, tacking on an extra little friend each time we have the mana to spend. And with the stuff I'll cover later, that's a pretty sweet deal. Alloy Mirror. Bloodline Pretender is an honorary Mirror and can get absolutely massive in no time with all the Mirror entering the battlefield. Darksteel Mirror has Indestructible, so unless your opponents have some targeting exile removal, this Mirror is another threat once we get a few activations of Urtet off. Kami of the Whispered Hope. It's hardened scales on a body that taps for increasingly more and more mana the more counters you have on it. Knighted Mirror can end games fast, gaining double strike each time counters are put on it, making it a threat to be answered in no time. Mirror Entity is one of the key cards in this deck. Having the ability to turn every creature into a mirror lets the deck do ridiculous things once Urtet's untap ability kicks off. Mirror Galvanizer is a house, and if we can make a copy of it somehow, it goes infinite with a sneeze. Palladium Mirror, Rishkar Pima Renegade lets our creatures tap for mana. Sure, it's only green mana, but it's a start. Shimmer Mirror lets us cast artifacts at instant speed. Skorpek Lord gives artifacts a small boost and menace, which when you're building a small robot army, is a great way to give everyone evasion. Thopter Engineer gives our artifacts haste, letting them attack or tap immediately. Inga and Asika lets our creatures tap for mana of any color. It's just got to be used for creatures, and whenever you use 3 or more mana from creatures, you get to draw a card. Which even if we don't tap our creatures with Inga and Asika, most of our creatures are also mana dorks, so that could come up more than you think. Joyra is one of the most expensive cards in the deck, but you can't really cut her because that card draw tacked onto every creature is just great. Mirror Kinsmith lets us search our library for any mirror. Gigantha the Wellspring taps for all 5 mana, and again, if there was some way to make Gigantha a mirror, things get crazy. Brutaclad Telcor Engineer gives our creature tokens haste and brings a mirror body along with them. Shimmer Dragon is a card draw machine. Mirror Battlesphere can be a bomb, dealing massive damage with all the potential mirror we could tap. Mirror Enforcer has affinity for artifacts, so 9 times out of 10, this is just a free mirror. And Graz's Unstoppable Juggernaut turns our little 1/1 mirrors into beefy machines. Best part is it's their base power, which means all the counters go on top of their new 5/3 bodies. Moving right into our sorceries, Edge of Autumn and Rampant Growth ramp us. March of Progress creates a token copy of target artifact and comes with an overload cost to copy each artifact we control. Search for Tomorrow is for more fixing. Bring to Light is one of our best cards by putting something 5 mana or less depending on how much unique mana you want to dump into it directly onto the battlefield. Thoughtcast usually lets us draw 2 cards for 1 blue mana. And Flood of Tears is our cheap worst Cyclonic Rift. Our instants keep the hits rolling. Disruption Protocol is Counterspell, Reality Shift for removal. Crib Swap has Changeling, meaning we get a mirror off of casting it. Harrow for more mana fixing. Inspiring Call gives our board protection and card draw. Stoic Rebuttal for more counter magic. Thirst for Knowledge. And Paradoxical Outcome lets us bounce our mirror to draw more cards, then replay the mirror to make even more mirror. Mirrorception. For artifacts, Runed Stalactite gives the equipped creature every creature type, which includes Mirror. See where this is going? Wayfarer's Bauble, Darksteel Ingot has Indestructible and taps for any color. Sculpting Steel gives us a copy of any artifact we have. Skyclave Relic also has Indestructible and Kicker, so we can make more. Lux Artillery is ridiculously easy to trigger once we start piling on the counters. And Symmetry Matrix is card draw each time a mirror enters the battlefield if you have the mana to pay for it. Enchantments bring the whole deck together. Emblem of the Warmind gives our creatures haste. Song of Freyalise lets our creatures tap for mana of any color. Etchings of the Chosen can give our commander or any mirror indestructible. Fires of Yavimaya also gives our creatures haste, and if we choose to sack it, gives our creatures a small boost. Jeskai Ascendancy makes it so each time we cast a non-creature spell, untaps our creatures and gives a small boost, as well as a looting effect if we choose. Levitation gives our mirror flying, letting them soar right over our opponent's creatures. And Nahiri's Resolve, even more cards with haste, and it comes with the semi-protection if we choose to use it. We also play one planeswalker in Jiang Yengu. I'm sorry if I butchered that pronunciation. Wildcrafter, because he lets our creatures with counters tap for any color mana. Turning our mirror tokens we make with Urtet into mana dorks is a great way to get a massive amount of mana. Lastly, the lands. Broker's Hideout, Cabaret Courtyard, Canopy Vista, Cinderglade, Command Tower, Exotic Orchard, Obscura Storefront, Path of Ancestry, Prairie Stream, Riveter's Overlook, Spire of Industry, 9 forests, 7 islands, 3 mountains, 4 plains, and 2 swamps. This deck looks to win through combat damage, but don't think it's simply little chip damage. I'm talking table-wiping Scorched Earth combat. When our Death Machine becomes operational, these mirror get as big as we want them to get. By playing all these cards, granting haste and letting our creatures tap for mana means each time a mirror comes in, these new mirror tap for mana. And when we get a copy of our Galvanizer, they start tapping to untap each other. Add our mana dorks to the mix, and you can make as much mana as your heart desires. Not to mention our other creatures, such as Gigantha and Kami of Whispered Hopes. Once we make these creature mirror, and they can tap and untap with everything else, the deck just hums right along to victory. The deck currently sits just under $30, and with how much fun I've had piloting these little dudes, I'd recommend this deck to anyone. If you end up falling in love with these tiny robots and want to upgrade the deck, Ironclaw Mirror and Plague Mirror add Infect to the mix, meaning you don't even have to go very big to start knocking people out of the game. Soul Ring and Arcane Signet are great includes if you have them. With all this mana, you can make Debt to the Deathless, cut down your opponents, or any Notorious X spells like Exsanguinate or Torment of Hailfire. Next, I would upgrade our ways to get the mirror we need, such as Fabricate, Reshape, Goblin Engineer, or Goblin Welder to turn your token mirror into real mirror. Vidalcan Archmage lets us draw even more cards as we play artifacts. Also, a Cryptolith Rite and a second Harvest could put in some real work. Well, that's the deck with some upgrades. Be sure to comment a commander you would like to see built on a budget or your favorite card from the deck. Subscribe as it goes a long way to supporting the channel, and with that out of the way, I'll catch you in the next one.